Hi, I'm Lynn House. I am the chief mixologist here at Blackbird Restaurant in Chicago, Illinois. Michelin star, James Beard award-winning restaurant. So this is what I do, and welcome to Blackbird.
Great. So tell us how long you've been bartending.
I have been associated with the beverage industry, is kind of how I like to put it, for almost 25 years. I had actually started working my way through college 25 years ago, and I've worked all aspects. I've been focused for the last 6 years really on kind of more the craft mixology, craft bartending end.
Cool. So what do you love about the craft mixology?
I love the fact that I get to own my own work. It's creative. I get to interact with people. It's fun. It's lively. It's always constantly changing. Like I said, I've been in the industry for 25 plus years, so it's fun because I feel like I get to bring together my wine skills, my food skills. I also have a degree in theater. I get to bring in my theatrical skills with it, and it's just a really, really rewarding profession to be in. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's great. So tell me, I mean, you have such a long and storied career. Let's just kind of list off some of your, some of the highlights. I mean, the fact that you're working at a James Beard and Michelin endorsed restaurant is huge. And so let's have you kind of obviously 25 years worth of places is going to be far too long, but let's give some highlights of I've worked here, I've worked here, I've worked here, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Well, I've been here at Blackbird for the last 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was the chief mixologist and beverage director for Graham Elliott, another Michelin star restaurant here in Chicago. Prior to that, I had the privilege of being one of the original master bartenders for the Drawing Room, which is a craft mixology bar that has received accolades for years and years and years, and very, very highly regarded in our community. I was focused in restaurants as far as front of the house and service a lot more before that. So within that capacity, I got to work with Mindy Siegel at Hot Chocolate and was the general manager and beverage director there for a year. And prior to that, I was one of the original members of Spring, and so worked with Chef Sean McLean and was a head server, head trainer there. So that's kind of a short scheme of a few places that I've been at.
Good for you. So let's talk about some of the responsibilities that you've had of I've designed drink menus, I've trained entire staff. It's just sort of in a broad way of all the types of training and installations you've done. Well,
as here at Blackbird, my chief responsibility really is everything kind of liquid pertaining to spirits and beer and cocktails. So I design the back bar. I'm in charge of not only purchasing but keeping the budget running and working at a great cost level. I'm in charge of the entire beer program. We do a craft American beer program, only small batch beers, and then I'm also in charge of developing the cocktail menu. I have a staff of about 6 people underneath me, so in charge of not only training them, getting them up to speed, helping educate them so that they can go on and have their own careers as it goes down the line. I also do here staff training with the entire staff, so it's the whole front of the house staff, our server staff, our support staff, where I actually do monthly installations where I train them on sake or train them on whiskey or scotch. We've even done one here on just where everybody came behind the bar that worked here, and I taught them the basics of just how to make cocktails so that they could take that information and take it to their guests. So I always feel like the more information everybody has, knowledge is power. So.
So let's talk a little bit about all the awards and recognitions you've received and any exposure you've gotten in the media.
I have had a very, very lucky and blessed couple of years. Most recently, I was inducted into the Dame Hall of Fame. I'm actually an original inductee. This is the first year they've had it where they recognize 5 women across the country who contribute in the beverage industry, so I'm one of the initial 5. as far as that is concerned. Last year, Chicago Reader named me one of the top 29 people for People of the Year for the Chicago Year-End Reader issue. Gaz Regan, who's very well esteemed in our industry, 2 years ago gave me an award, the Gazer, which he deemed me one of the top 20 most fabulous bartenders globally. That one was pretty crazy. I just came back from Miami, where I was a national finalist in the Savoir magazine Grey Goose Punch War, so I was figured in Savoir magazine with that. I was also one of the top 5 national finalists for the Benedictine Esquire magazine, Alchemist Every Age, so featured in Esquire. Several years back was one of the national finalists for Bombay Sapphire's Most Inspired Bartender, and so I was featured in GQ magazine. I've also appeared in Ebony magazine, Time Out nationally, Time Out Chicago, Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, Martha Stewart, a couple others, and of course locally, Chicago Magazine, the Chicago Tribune, and the Sun Times.
Oh my God. So you're like, I don't know. I wanted you right now. That's great. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's crazy. I was just saying I never sleep anymore. I work doctor's hours. I should have been the doctor my parents wanted me to do. I get more rest.
Seriously. So now I missed the title of what you were saying, is that you got inducted. You just recently were inducted into the something Hall of Fame. Can you say that one more time?
Absolutely. It was the Dame Hall of Fame. So every year we have a huge beverage festival, if you want to call it as such, Tales of the Cocktail. And this year they recognized for the first time 5 women across the country who they feel have contributed to the industry and have really just kind of pushed the agenda of women in the business. And I was very honored to be one of the original inductees to that. So.
Great. Okay. So what would you say? That? Oh wait, and I have a question, because on your voicemail you said something about Freestyle Seasons. Is that your own company? It's
actually Eat Be Midwest, and it's myself and a friend of mine who I partner with in Michigan. We've done events throughout Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, where we just really kind of celebrate what's in our backyard. So it's a little side consulting that I do on the side, working more not so much with the industry but with consumers and teaching them how to make market fresh cocktails in their own house.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, like, what would you say, what separates a good bartender from a really great bartender?
I think passion, first and foremost, because that's one thing that you can't teach. It has to come from within the heart, and they have to absolutely love what they're doing. You know, you can read books, you can sit in class, you can be the most proficient bartenders, and I've gone into bars and watched people who are technically very, very sound, and they are good. But the person who's great is the person whose passion and love just kind of leaps out of what they're doing. It shows in the cocktail, it shows in their interaction with you, it shows in the way they carry themselves in the bar, and to me that's really what determines a good bartender from a great bartender.
Okay, great. So let's try, because you were sort of just answering my question, I would say we could start that with, what separates a good bartender from a great bartender is passion.
Yes, a great bartender is passion. Great bartender, just saying, like, a great bartender is passion, is knowledgeable, is friendly, is very conscious of, always continually conscious of what's going on in their surroundings, is very involved in the job.
Perfect. So what are 5 tips, and you don't have to, we can just do them one by one, but like 5 technical tips that that bartenders really need to know, but most of them don't know, that most of them don't really understand?
5 tips. First and foremost is citrus. Citrus degrades very, very quickly. Citrus can, you know, when I see people, I go into bars and I see lemon zests that have been cut like it seems like weeks ago. It's like throwing cardboard into your drink. So it's really important for zesting that you want to zest fresh. You don't want to pre-cut it. You want to have that oil, those aromatics over your cocktail. You also want to be juicing every single day. Juice will break down in about 8 hours. So you want to be juicing fresh every day. And you want to cut your fruit per shift. You don't want to, be a place, we've all seen it where they reach into a bucket and the fruit was cut on Monday and they're using it on Sunday. You want to cut your fruit each day, and you want to dispose of any fruit at the end of the night because it's gone bad and it does nothing to the drink. It just actually will detract from the drink. So I think, to me, that's like my big stickler is, first and foremost, is fresh citrus. Also, temperature is very, very important. Temperature in a cocktail, you want the cocktail to be diluted 20 to 30%, and we do that with ice, and we do that either by shaking or we do it by stirring, and really knowing when you want to shake and when you want to stir. You want to stir a cocktail when it's all spirits, so because it's all the same base. And so you want to get a little water dilution, you want it cold, but you don't want to water the cocktail out. But when you have other ingredients like citrus, sugar, purees, egg, cream added into it, you're working with two different kinds of bases. So what you need to do is emulsify. So we're still shaking, but that's when you shake and you agitate and bring the cocktail together. Too often I see a cocktail shaken when it should be stirred, and you get it and it's watered down. I think that's a very, very common mistake for young bartenders to make. Hygiene, super important. Your sinks, your water's got to be hot. You've got to have sanitizer in there. I've gone through sanitizer health certification classes here, and they're kind of scary and mind-boggling when you get into them, when you see what can happen. But it's, a very common thing. Hot stays hot, cold stays cold. So my water is hot, it's always sanitized, so we're killing bacteria, we're killing germs, and my cold is cold, so my refrigerators that I'm keeping my citrus, my eggs, my cream, my syrups, my purees in need to be at 42 or below, the same guidelines that you would follow in a kitchen, because you can get food poisoning from a cocktail just as easy as you can get food poisoning from a dish, and you don't want to do that. Ice, holding ice, versus what you're working with ice. I see a lot of that in inexperienced bars where they have the ice well and they've got the ingredients that they're mixing with stuck in the ice well as well. You really need those ingredients to be in their own ice bin, and then the ice that you're shaking and stirring and using your cocktails to be in a completely separate, different receptacle. So those are kind of my big points that I notice that young bartenders, the mistakes they tend to make.
Okay. That's great. What is your biggest pet peeve when it comes to bartenders behind the bar?
Cockiness. Cockiness is definitely my biggest pet peeve. I think there's a lot of attention in the beverage industry now. A lot of people are seeing a great way to make a name for themselves and to carve out a really long and fantastic career, and that's awesome. But it's the hospitality business first and foremost, and I don't like sitting at a bar where the bartender is really super, super cocky and has a big chip on their shoulder because they feel that they're better than me because they know this and they assume that I don't know something or that their guest doesn't know something. It's about hospitality. At the end of the day, that's my biggest pet peeve.
Great. And so rolling right into that, actually, with bar revenue, we come into bars that are clearly failing. What would you do, to turn things around immediately? Usually there's a tip where you can say, listen, if you just change this one thing, or if you just change these three things, from the get-go, you will increase your sales by 20% or your customer retention by X amount.
I think the first and foremost thing that you have to do, too, when you're looking at a failing bar is you start at the top and you look and you see how interactive the owners, the managers, and everyone are in the day-to-day business. Are they paying attention to what their staff is doing? Are they training their staff? Are they, in the dining room or bar area during service to watch how service is going? Oftentimes I find that places that are failing, first and foremost, there's no leadership. So that's the first thing I would attack, is to see where the leadership was in the restaurant and really give them hints on how to be an effective and really great leader to turn their business around. Second is knowledge. Find out what the staff knows and what the staff doesn't know. You give them a quick quiz, 10 most popular cocktails made, how would they make it? I get them to make it for me and see what they're doing, what bad habits they have, and then also what good habits they have that you can reinforce and kind of encourage people. And then you want to also kind of find the up-and-coming leaders within that bar. Someone who's got that passion, someone who's got that drive. You're always able to recognize that person, whether it's a bar back, a bartender, a cocktail waitress who has that, and work to encourage them to bring them in and to bring them life. Because something that always rattles, a group that's dysfunctionally working is bringing in somebody very functional to kind of show them how it's done.
Perfect. I think that's, and then do you have any, one tip that you would say, the fastest way to increase sales from the get-go is, and
the fastest way to increase sales on the get-go is to provide a great product. That's having a great staff, great product behind the bar, great cocktails. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be craft. It could be a sports bar. It could be the bar in a restaurant. It could be the bar in a hotel. But you've got to give people quality. If you give people subpar, then you're going to do subpar.
Perfect.